Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where we're taking a look at some Hellboy movies.
Yes!
2 or 3, we haven't decided yet.
We do 3. We got room for 3.
I'm busy, Mason.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're busy.
Watching all the Hellboy movies.
Wait a second.
2 or 3, I don't know yet.
What's going on? We're trapped in a loop.
Look, Mason, I'm just trying to make enough videos so I can put them together in a compilation.
Okay, all right.
Money for old rope.
Sure.
That's what we're doing here.
That's right.
Anyways, please leave a like, because this week we are talking about Hellboy 2004.
Will it make any sense if I haven't watched the previous 2003 Hellboy movies? Yes! We're off to a fiery start here.
How does he do it? I feel like this came out in the era of they didn't really know what comic book movies or properties or characters would land.
Or movies or fiction, anything really.
Ben Affleck's paycheck.
2004, in prehistory. 20 human years ago, James.
Oh, can you even imagine?
Nope. I'm 19 years old.
That's a great point. What I find fascinating about studios throwing a bunch of money at projects like this and whatever is that this one, you really have to commit to it. It's not like The Crow where you can just dress someone up like a goth and have them run around a dark room.
That's true. You have to build Hellboy from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because nobody's shaped like that.
Nope.
Nobody's all torso and one big arm.
Well, it's interesting because when Guillermo del Toro first met with producers about this, they were like, well, what about you make him a human and then he transforms into a Hellboy when he gets angry like the Hulk? And he was like, no. And they were like, what if he came from hell, but he was just a bloke?
Oh, sure.
Hell
bloke.
But he was like, no, look, if we're going to do this, I want to bring in Mike Mignola, the original creator, and we're going to do this as faithfully as possible. And for the most part, there is some things from the comics which are expanded upon, like relationships and etc.
But this is largely based on the storyline, I believe, Seed of Destruction.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yes.
That
And
is.
again, like you said, it is a big swing. And if you tried to create a Hellboy movie now, maybe it wouldn't happen. I mean, they are, but that's only
because they already
had the story previous to this. Like it's a risk that they probably wouldn't take now.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like the budget and how much it made, I am surprised they did keep making these. We'll get into that towards the end. But anyway, Guillermo del Toro, and I'm sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing his name. I'm Australian, all right? I am trying.
Yeah.
It might sound like I'm taking the piss.
In Australia, we'd call him Jezza del Tezza, all right?
He got
from down the pub. Jezza del Tezza.
Yeah. He got into the Hellboy comics while he was shooting Mimic.
Ah.
And he said reading those comics was the only positive experience from that movie.
Damn.
Not a dreadful movie, though, I would say.
Wow, that's a real shot at... Quickly Googles who was in the movie Mimic. 1997. Oh, that's a real shot at Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, no.
And also Mira Sorvino and Josh Brolin.
Got him.
Yeah, got him. I say F. Murray Abraham.
Whoa.
Because he's in it also.
That's crazy. So doing this was his dream project, and he always wanted Ron Perlman, but, securing the budget that you need to do this wasn't really possible. But, of course, he did Blade 2.
Oh, yeah.
And even though he was offered Blade 3, Blade Trinity, he went, no, I would like to use all my Blade juice.
That's right.
Put it into this production.
I'd rather be covered in red foam latex for 12 hours a day.
What, Guillermo del Toro?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I thought you meant... Okay, I get you now.
Well, yeah, Ron Perlman was in Blade 2,
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing about Hellboy, right? I love the concept. I love the idea of he's a blue-collar kind of working guy, but he's a demon.
He's kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles-y.
Yeah.
He's kind of like always going through an extended adolescence in a way.
Absolutely.
Even though he is profesh.
Yeah.
But, he's got problems.
Well, like Ninja Turtles, or I guess like Superman, he's of like another world or another. He's not human, but he was raised in a culture which is human.
I mean, barely. America.
Great point.
Yes.
And I think that's great that, like, even though he knows that magic and demons and the afterlife and all these things exist, he just treats it all like he's a plumber.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I like that.
A little bit like Ghostbusters.
It is like Ghostbusters,
It is,
Mason.
isn't it? That's right, the BPRD.
I think also the idea that he's supposed to usher in the apocalypse, maybe accidentally or on purpose at some point, is great.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've gone with this one as the kind of the opening salvo for Hellboy.
Yeah.
Because, in the comic books, he's often visiting a tiny little town in England and dealing with
a crooked bloke.
A crooked bloke or some little sprites down the garden or what have you. But with this one, they've gone, I guess you have to go with the big blockbuster element. You've got the Lovecraftian horrors and you've got the end of the world and etc.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just great concepts, great look.
Completely agree.
Incredible.
But I will say this. I like this movie, but I don't love it.
You love Hellboy 2: The Golden
I do.
Army.
I really like that. I think it expands on everything in the best way.
Well, I currently, having not rewatched The Golden Army in a while, I'm the opposite. I think this one is my favorite.
Yeah, well, look, that's probably the normal reaction and response.
Oh, so this is all to say you're very special.
Yeah, I'm special and crooked, like a crooked bloke, Mason.
I disagree. I think the general consensus is the second one is better.
Okay. I think the elements that don't work for me is they bring in an everyman as like a point of view character.
Yeah.
And not that he's terrible, but I just don't think he's really necessary. The focus should squarely be on Hellboy, really.
Yeah, because we do in this movie we have Myers, who's the new guy.
Yeah.
Who he's been shipped in. He doesn't get a little retina scan. He doesn't,
Nah, man.
he doesn't understand any of this stuff. He doesn't understand he's got to bring a big meat tray to Hellboy.
He doesn't know.
Or Hezerboy, as we'd call him in Australia. Hezerboy down the pub.
That's where you'd meet him, down the pub.
But we've also got Clay, who is kind of the, one of the BPRD's best agents. And I think you could just run with him as the...
Sure. Is he the one with hair
character.
plugs?
Yes.
See, I like elements like that. You don't need to give him hair plugs that he's just had a hair transplant
Right?
and he's like insecure about it.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. He could have just been a guy. There's just a bunch of wacky
What a guy with inexplicable hair plugs.
No, just like wacky little oddbod stuff. I think his relationship with Jeffrey Tambor, how that develops, is really interesting. I like those two together. I think that's a great pairing. The other element of this I don't like is I like the character of Liz, but the love story I think is really kind of clumsily handled in this.
If I remember correctly, they just
Again, better in the second.
they evolve it in the second one. Yeah. Does Liz get a real character revamp in the second
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
More agency.
Sure.
And maybe some different coloured fire she can do.
Sure, yeah,
I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched him run over some big cogs and gears.
Right?
Love how he does
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But otherwise, I think the supporting cast is very good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a Clockwork Sand Nazi.
There's a Clockwork Sand Nazi.
Cool concept.
There's a regular lady Nazi.
She's regular.
There's Rasputin.
Rasputin's in this.
Of course, based on the real, the real life Rasputin. Isn't it fascinating that this guy has gotten so much play in like fiction over the last number of decades, given the fact in real life he's just a sort of socially climbing sex pest?
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
weird.
sometimes socially climbing sex pests, they appear in our media quite a lot.
They do, don't they? Now that we think about it, yeah. But yeah, and on the side of
You don't need to put any of them on the screen, Lawrence, by the way. You could have just cut to nothing.
Yeah. Just a sad face emoji, probably. But on you could be Liz and Jeffrey Tambor's character, Abe Sapien, who is two actors, correct?
My God.
It's Doug
Yes.
Jones providing the body.
Yep.
And then of course Niles Crane.
That's right. Uncredited Niles Crane.
Because
David Hyde Pierce, by the way.
he felt that Doug Jones did such a good job. Is that something along
Yeah,
the lines
and
of that?
Doug Jones does voice him in the second one.
That's right, yeah.
Which, again, we will get to. But basically, because it was 2 hours to put the appliances on to like get the shape of the body, he's incredibly thin, and that kind of works because you can build out from him more.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then 2 hours to airbrush everything, and that's when you see most of him. And then put on the fins and the makeup, and a lot of that stuff like moves and breathes. And I mean, he also is the Shape of Water fish man as well.
Let me picture this: David Hyde Pierce as Abe Sapien, Fraser Crane as Hellboy. Yeah.
Love it.
What's his name again?
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer as Hellboy. There we go.
God, Abe Sapien's incredible character. Also, apparently Abraham Lincoln died the day after he was shot, not the day of. So that date's it's a bit.
Oh, interesting.
It's not accurate. I mean, this history isn't entirely accurate because they're like, yeah, Hitler died in 1958, and then they just kind of brush past
Yeah,
it.
right.
I like this alternate history and all this weird little stuff that happened that most people did not see or notice.
Now, let me ask you about this, James. Obviously, Abe Sapien is in this, and he's in the subsequent Hellboy sequel. And then Guillermo del Toro, some years later, does The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
What's going on there? What's his deal?
I don't know.
Has he ever squared that up? Is he ever like, yeah, no, I was inspired by this character to do a fish sex movie?
God, you know what? I'll look into it between this week and next week.
Okay,
I'll
terrific.
figure it out, all
All
right?
right,
I mean,
yeah.
you could look it up because this is something you want to know specifically.
Yeah, but it seems a bit gross now that I think about it, and I don't want to.
I'll still look it up.
Thank
Because I know
you.
there'll be some perverts out there who want to know. And maybe I'm a little curious, you know?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Also, we haven't really talked about this, but Ron Perlman is incredible.
He's great. He's terrific.
So good.
I mean, that's the performance. It's the fact that the makeup works so well that he can emote through it,
Because he's completely encased in it.
Yeah.
There's not like any of his skin showing at all. I think maybe his eyelids, which are just painted red, but everything else, it's like prosthesis after prosthesis. And the fact that you can get that range of emotion, but he's still got horns like strapped to his head, but you can still read what he's doing. I think, it's mostly spot on from the comics. They didn't go with the cloven feet. Or he might have cloven feet, but he wears the boots because it's easier.
And if I remember correctly, of course, in the comics, he has the right hand of Doom.
Yeah.
And initially the plan was, Perlman's right-handed, so he's going to need a regular hand to hold the gun, so we might have to change it to the left hand of Doom.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no.
I think he is left-handed.
Oh, well, then it's
one of those two things.
Then it's no achievement at all, is it?
I'll do some research,
if you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, even
I wouldn't want to be your bloody browser history. I tell you much.
Right hand of Doom weird fish sex movie. Yeah, I mean the hand is an animatronic, and when he's smashing stuff, it's obviously it's a locked prosthesis.
Oh, like when he does a big truck flip.
Yeah, when he does a big truck flip.
This was the era.
It's my favorite truck flip maybe in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I mean, then the other one is like controlled remotely if he has to crush or do anything or do a little wiggle about. But for the from like the chest up makeup, it's 3.5 to 4 hours to put all that together. Okay. An absolute nightmare of a process.
And then they have to act for like 12 hours after that and then,
then
get it all removed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Long days.
Well, Doug Jones, sometimes they just leave the stuff on him. Some of the stuff that was glued on. It's
just
like,
overnight.
Fine.
Okay, right. Yeah.
It's fine. It'll be there in the morning. Another thing I love about these movies.
And he woke up with all sorts of fish remnants in his bed. And Guillermo del Toro was like, sorry? Tell me that story again. Intriguing.
I love that there's wacky little one-use artifacts in this. Similar to the movie Constantine, which we've talked about. And like odd little weapons and things like that. Like there's a bone in a jar that St. Peter or St. Michael, I can't remember, one of the saints. There's the Raise the Dead amulet and that he's carrying around that corpse, which is some imagery taken straight from the comics. All of that is just super cool and super interesting.
A big gun.
A big gun that shoots different kinds of bullets. And even the fact that that creature that keeps getting resurrected, that's a mostly practical thing except for the pretty extreme stuff. And just an amazing combination of like puppeteering and like a dude in a suit and all of that coming together. It's just phenomenal. Even it's like the wetness of the eyes that sells so much of this. Yeah. It's just so great. And the action in this, apparently what they were going for was to emulate both Jack Kirby and Ray Harryhausen. And you can absolutely see that.
That works. I see that, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there are some moments where you might cut to like a CGI Hellboy kind of being flung about, but it's mostly like wire work in big bulky costumes slamming around real sets. Like it's just really good stuff.
Agreed.
And at the end, that dude has a squid in him. What
That's
a
right,
squid from another dimension.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that from Cypher from The Matrix.
No.
There he is.
John Hurt.
John Hurt.
John Hurt's in this. We didn't mention it.
That's right, yes.
But he's in it.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I like it, and I feel bad for not liking it more.
Is it because it has all the elements that, like, in theory, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's eccentric, it's esoteric, it's kind of like they're all interesting elements.
Yeah.
I
think maybe just more Hellboy, which I think the next movie does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, because I enjoy the back end of this more when like he gets to go out in the world more and you're just watching him kind of just leap about and resurrect dead bodies and just getting a punch up with a big squid. Like that it really kind of, I love the back end of this.
Yeah. I loved as well that they committed to the Lovecraftian horror.
Yes.
Just chilling in space. Just frozen in space.
Being in a crystal, doing a thing. What's that even want to do in our world? What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah.
Anyways, it's time for the trivia section of the show, which is always called Trivia Boy.
Agreed.
Guillermo del Toro opted to do this movie over Alien vs. Predator and the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of the Azkaban.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
Makes sense.
I think he made a good call.
I completely agree.
And this is the one he felt most passionate about.
And of those three movies, this is my favorite of those three movies. I know that Harry Potter has a skinny werewolf in it, but that's no werewolf in my mind.
That's very true.
It's David Thewlis.
From a very, selfish perspective, he's made the right call for us.
Yeah. The movie was released in Malaysia as Super Sapiens to avoid being banned, like Daredevil, for the use of the word devil or hell in the title.
Oh,
Super Sapiens.
wow.
The shot of John Mayers, I love this. I love this so much. The shot of John Myers or Mayers?
Myers. John Mayer is a...
Is a wonderland.
He's a-
No, he thinks your body is a wonderland.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
What his body is like is none of our business.
The shot of John Myers descending into the lower levels of the BRPD via elevator was a miniature model with tiny little fake people on it.
Was it?
And they're just like bobbling about on it.
Huh.
It's great. It's
Wow.
so good. And some other names that were apparently considered by the studio for Hellboy were Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I think these would have been different and worse.
Agreed.
Again, Ron Perlman is just the perfect choice for this.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way you can build the prosthetics off the way he looks works so well.
Yeah.
I think, have just the way he looks and enhancing that. And it is enhancing Mason because he looks incredible.
Yeah.
It's
very ogre coded, isn't he?
I guess he was Beauty or the Beast in that show.
think
I
he might
can't
have been,
remember
yeah.
which one. Anyways, in terms of box office on a budget of $66 million, I think it'd be more. I mean, it's a 20-year-old movie at this point.
Well, it's a 20-year-old movie, and it's, the era where they thought about shots before they filmed them,
Oh, yeah. I remember movies used to do that. This made 99.8.
Okay.
Which isn't huge, but I guess it probably did well on DVD.
Yes.
It was 4 years
We
until-
forget about that, yeah.
But there was 2 animated projects which are in this universe which came in between. There was Hellboy Sword of Storms and Hellboy Blood and Iron, where the whole cast returns for more Hellboying about.
Oh, David Hyde Pierce or Doug Jones? Got to do some research.
Oh, I think it's Doug Jones, I want to say.
I might be both of them together.
Yeah.
Speaking simultaneously.
Anyways, of course, we are going to be talking about Hellboy 2, The Golden Army next week, but you might want to see that early. You might be interested. You might be so inclined.
That's right.
And if you are, you can actually head over to bigsandwich.co, where, in addition to early videos, there's also video game Let's Plays. There's movie commentaries.
That's right.
There's a comic book club.
That's correct.
We're going to probably do a Hellboy comic.
We'll talk
for that.
about Hellboy.
We'll do a Hellboy
Why
comic
wouldn't
for you.
we? Treat ourselves.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good ones to choose from. And of course, our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that actually comes out there on Sunday as opposed to Monday. But if you don't have to pay for it, it's got its own YouTube channel. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on everything if you want to check it out. We will be talking about new Hellboy.
I'm excited to talk new Hellboy.
I am also, of whatever happens.
I'm excited. I'm extorted.
You're extorted.
I'm
by
going
the studio.
That's right.
To talk well of it.
I'm going to. Even though it looks a little bit like a fan film.
There's a little... The trailers have improved.
They have. That's true. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.